So we continue now with the explanation of the difference between the two concepts, potential difference and difference in energy, potential energy between two different configurations. So first, we'll review again the idea of difference in potential. If you have an electric field, that's constant electric field to the right like this, the difference in potential between points A and B is the electric field times the distance. So let's put a positive charge here at rest and let go. What will happen when you let go of this positive charge? There's going to be a force to the right acting on it that will make it start to move. So at some point on its motion, it's going to have some speed v. If you remember the idea of conservation of energy, the kinetic energy initial plus potential energy initial is equal to the kinetic energy final plus potential energy final. The initial kinetic energy was 0. And as the particle moves, the charge moves to the right, it gains kinetic energy. It becomes bigger. That means that the potential energy must be getting smaller because the sum of the two quantities remains the same. So if this is initially 0, that means initially the potential energy was the maximum value, and then as the kinetic energy gets larger, the potential energy must get lower so that the sum remains constant.
That means that the potential energy gets lower when you go to the right. The potential energy is large here when the charge is at this location, and as you go to the right, the potential energy gets lower.
In the initial position, the potential energy, the electric potential energy is the maximum for the system, for the whole system, and the kinetic energy is 0. In the final situation, the potential energy of the system is minimum and the kinetic energy is maximum. So this is basically what you have. You have two different configurations, and this is important to mention the word configuration. The first configuration is when the plus charge is at point A. This is one configuration. And this configuration has a certain energy, U initial. This is the next configuration, the final configuration, where you have the positive charge at point B. So this configuration has a potential energy U final. And the energy of this configuration U initial is bigger than the energy in the final configuration U final. U initial is bigger than U final. We can also get the difference in energy between these two different configurations by relating the difference in energy between the configurations to the difference in potential between the 2 points. This is the relationship between them. We've discussed this before. The difference in energy between the two different configurations is the charge times the difference in potential between the 2 points. So we know the difference in potential is ED. That means the difference in potential energy is Q times E times D. So this kind of shows you the difference in the idea between potential energy and potential, because they have the same name, so maybe people get confused with them. Potential energy, again, it describes energy of a certain configuration of charges in a region of space. A charge existing in an electric field in a certain region of space. It's energy of a configuration. But potential difference is potential difference between 2 points in space. The potential difference between 2 points in space exists even if there's no charge in this region at all. But the difference in potential energy can only have a meaning if you have a charge that exists in that region of space and it's located at different positions. So this is the initial position, initial configuration where the charge is at point A, and this is the final position where the charge is at point B. So difference in potential energy only makes sense when you have a charge in this region that exists at different locations.